story. So it looked like the government, the DOJ, is requesting a briefing from the head man in charge of the WNBA and the NBA.
The whispers started quietly, a low hum of speculation, but what I'm about to reveal could fundamentally change everything you thought you knew about professional basketball. Everyone believes the NBA is a pristine, well-oiled machine, immune to the kind of scandal that cripples other sports, but the truth is far darker. Congress itself has now stepped onto the court demanding answers from the highest echelons of the league, and they're not just looking at the NBA. The WNBA and perhaps its biggest star, Caitlin Clark, are being dragged directly into the heart of a burgeoning gambling mess that threatens to unravel the integrity of the entire sport. This isn't just about a few bad actors, this is about the very foundation of fan trust, the billions of dollars flowing through legal betting partnerships, and whether the games you're watching are truly fair. The deadline for Adam Silver's response is Halloween, a chilling date that promises a real-life nightmare if the league can't adequately explain the multitude of allegations now swirling.
Very, very, very serious. The reason this is serious, not only just for the NBA, but for the WNBA as well. We know the WNBA is also being pretty much ran for the most part.
This isn't some minor internal investigation or a public relations blip. This is the United States Congress, with all its investigative power, issuing a direct summons to Adam Silver, the commissioner of both the NBA and the WNBA. The letter from Washington wasn't a friendly request. It was an ultimatum, demanding a comprehensive briefing on a litany of disturbing reports, illegal betting activities, widespread insider information leaks, and the deeply unsettling possibility of players faking injuries to influence game outcomes. They want these answers, not in months, but before October 3rd. Imagine the sheer panic rippling through the league offices right now. A palpable dread as they scramble to compile a response that could either save their reputation or expose a systemic riot. The implications here are staggering, not just for the NBA's bottom line, but for the fundamental belief that what fans witness on the court is legitimate. What happens if Silver fails to satisfy Congress? The consequences could be catastrophic, reshaping the very landscape of professional basketball as we know it, and this is just the beginning.
Our only hope at getting a new CBA deal done by the deadline, October 31st, or even getting an extension prepped and ready, was one Adam Silver. Adam Silver inserted himself and said he was going to make sure to see to that a deal gets done. And now he's wrapped up in a whole bunch of other foolishness, Now he has to have a meeting with Congress by October 31st, the same deadline as the new CBA agreement with the WNBA.
Now, you might assume this is solely an NBA problem, confined to the world of multi-million-dollar contracts and high-stakes games, but that assumption would be dangerously naive. When Adam Silver is called to the carpet, the WNBA feels the tremors just as acutely, if not more so. Remember, the same interconnected leadership oversees both leagues, sharing not just executives but also ownership groups and crucial media contracts. And at the epicenter of the WNBA's explosive growth, its undeniable face, is Caitlin Clark, a phenomenon who has shattered attendance records, ignited a cultural movement, and inadvertently found herself at the heart of political and social debates she never sought. So, when federal investigators start sniffing around the intertwined operations of the NBA and WNBA, every single camera turns to how this seismic shift could impact her too. For too long, the leagues have maintained a facade of normalcy, dismissing concerns as mere fan speculation. But Congress doesn't intervene in sports for casual entertainment. This is a grave declaration that something is fundamentally amiss, and the stench of corruption has reached the highest levels of government. If they can't quell these concerns, the damage will be irreparable.
NBA, we can kiss the 2026 season goodbye because this man was our only hope at getting a deal done. It is a wrap. No Caitlin Clark in 2026 in a
The genesis of this escalating crisis can be traced back to a series of federal investigations where prominent figures, not just obscure bench warmers, began to surface. Names like Chauncey Billups and Terry Rozier, along with other former players and coaches, became entangled in deeply troubling stories involving illegal gambling operations and allegations of rigged bets. While these revelations sent shockwaves through the casual fan base, anyone who had been paying close attention to the NBA's increasingly cozy relationship with the burgeoning sports betting industry shouldn't have been surprised. For years, the league has aggressively courted betting partnerships, inundating fans with constant advertisements and promotions, effectively normalizing the gambling experience. Congress, it seems, viewed this symbiotic relationship with growing alarm. Their detailed letter to Silver didn't pull any punches, asking pointed and uncomfortable questions. How pervasive is this issue? Were private details, like critical injury reports, leaked by players or coaching staff to gain an unfair betting advantage? Are the league's partnerships with betting companies simply too close, creating an inherent conflict of interest? The core question, brutal in its simplicity, was this: can fans still trust the integrity of the game? Because if games are being manipulated, if outcomes are predetermined, then the very essence of competition is shattered. Who would invest their hard-earned money in tickets, merchandise, or even legal wagers if the entire spectacle is a sham? This isn't just a regulatory headache, it's an existential threat to the league's core product, and the panic now gripping the NBA is largely rooted in the terrifying prospect that if Silver cannot provide satisfactory answers, every facet of the league, its rules, its lucrative partnership, and even its autonomy could be drastically redefined. The stakes have never been higher.
Get right into it. This is very unfortunate news, honestly. I was hoping that Adam Silver would be able to come in and rectify some of the things and the missteps of Cathy Engelbert, who we know was negligent in certain areas, but also, it seems like he has better communication with the players and they're willing to get something done with him and not Cathy. There's no movement on the CBA with Cathy. They don't even want to deal with this lady. They don't even want to talk to her. So there's no chance we'll actually get a deal done.
And you can already imagine the seismic fallout if Adam Silver finds himself truly cornered by Congress. Do you honestly believe he'll remain silent? This is a man who effectively runs both professional basketball leagues. He possesses an unparalleled breadth of knowledge, privy to every secret, every whispered deal. Should Washington's relentless pressure intensify, he won't be taking a solitary fall. Instead, he'll begin naming names, implicating individuals faster than a referee can dole out technical fouls. When that happens, the WNBA, and by extension everyone intricately connected to Caitlin Clark, will suddenly be dragged into a maelstrom of unprecedented scale, fundamentally altering the landscape of professional basketball. This isn't merely about gambling, a narrative many have clung to, but that's only half the truth. The deeper, more insidious half concerns raw control, intricate politics, and carefully curated public image. Caitlin Clark has transcended her role as a mere player. She's become a potent cultural symbol, while she commands a diverse fan base. One particular demographic, often associated with the MAGA movement, has embraced her as their quintessential athlete. This wasn't a role she sought, yet it's an undeniable reality of modern media. When the volatile realm of politics intertwines with sports, the consequences can be swift and intensely ugly, posing an existential threat to the league's carefully constructed facades. League leadership naively believed they could masterfully juggle this precarious array of challenges: the allure of gambling, the volatile currents of politics, the relentless demands of media scrutiny, and the fragile nature of public trust. But as we're witnessing, when one ball inevitably drops, the others follow in rapid succession. Right now, they're all plummeting simultaneously. Compounding this disaster, the scandal erupts precisely as the NBA and WNBA trumpet ambitious expansion plans, boasting about surging fan bases, lucrative global deals, and record-breaking streaming figures. Now, instead of celebrating, federal investigators are calling, demanding answers about coaches facing charges and players exhibiting questionable conduct. The timing couldn't be more catastrophic, making it nearly impossible to maintain a billion-dollar image under the cloud of corruption allegations. This isn't the NBA's first dance with gambling scandals. Cast your mind back to 2007 and the Tim Donaghy saga, the referee who brazenly wagered on games he was officiating. At the time, many believed that incident would definitively resolve the problem, yet it proved to be merely the prologue. The leagues, it seems, learned nothing, choosing instead to apply a superficial coat of fresh paint over deep-seated structural cracks. This time, however, the rod isn't confined to a single rogue official. It implicates coaches, active players, and even high-ranking league officials. A nightmare scenario. If this corruption has truly permeated the upper echelons, Congress won't stop at polite inquiries. They're prepared to unleash hearings, issue subpoenas, and orchestrate a full-blown public spectacle. The very real possibility of the league falling under direct government oversight looms large, forcing the NBA and WNBA to seek congressional approval for decisions regarding betting, player conduct, or sponsorships. It sounds outlandish, but that is precisely the trajectory of this unfolding crisis. The sheer absurdity of the situation is almost comedic. The deadline for Adam Silver to provide his testimony to Congress falls on Halloween. You truly couldn't script a more ironic scenario. He's tasked with confronting Capitol Hill's most formidable inquisitors, while children across the nation are out trick-or-treating. But the real horror for Silver is that he cannot simply charm or bluff his way through this. Lawmakers will demand concrete documentation, irrefutable proof, specific names, and every last shred of incriminating evidence that has been meticulously swept under the rug for years. And if you believe that's an uncomfortable position, wait until you grasp how this entire entanglement directly impacts Caitlin Clark's very public presence. Because while the NBA scrambles to extinguish its gambling inferno, the WNBA has quietly been grappling with its own internal discord, whispers of bizarre coaching decisions, escalating locker room tensions, and even hushed rumors concerning substance-related issues. What once seemed like minor dramas now balloon into significant concerns under the intense glare of a congressional inquiry. Caitlin Clark's highly publicized civil rights story, the narrative of her being unfairly treated and potentially physically targeted on the court, now resurfaces not as mere public discourse, but as potential evidence. Lawmakers are poised to scrutinize these past incidents, drawing a chilling parallel. If the league demonstrably fails to ensure fair play, what confidence can there be in its ability to regulate betting integrity? One profound problem invariably fuels the other, and this is precisely where the situation becomes profoundly uncomfortable for everyone in positions of authority. Should Congress uncover evidence that the league deliberately ignored serious issues, such as players being harassed or targeted, the scope of the investigation will expand far beyond gambling. It transforms into a damning indictment of leadership failure, questioning whether Silver and WNBA Commissioner Cathy Engelbert have allowed systemic problems to fester unchecked for far too long. That is how investigations metastasize. They begin with a focused scope, then in a sudden explosion, the entire house is subjected to a forensic search. It's mind-boggling to consider that what initially appeared to be another fleeting sports scandal is rapidly escalating into a full-fledged political event. ESPN, Fox, CNN, every major news outlet is now circling, each ravenous for a piece of this sensational story. The WNBA, which had finally begun to earn a modicum of respect and mainstream attention, now risks being brutally dragged back into the very kind of controversy it has desperately tried to shed, all because those at the very pinnacle of leadership seemingly couldn't maintain an unimpeachable level of conduct. This is precisely what has the NBA leadership so profoundly apprehensive. They operate in a terrifying fog of uncertainty, completely unaware of the precise documents, emails, text messages, or audio recordings that are currently sitting in some secure Washington folder. The narrative, once fiercely controlled, has irrevocably slipped from their grasp. In past crises, the league possessed the power to silence dissenting players, discreetly compensate reporters, and meticulously spin any story to their advantage. But this time, the rules have changed. This time, it is entirely out of their hands, and the timing by any measure could not be more disastrous. The league is desperately attempting to push for unprecedented global growth, secure new, lucrative sponsors, and fully leverage that billion-dollar betting market they so proudly cultivated. Now, with a cruel twist of fate, the very same betting apparatus that once made them immensely rich stands poised to bring them crashing down. The irony is palpable. The very thing they relentlessly boasted about is now the exact subject of congressional scrutiny. It's akin to deliberately setting your own house ablaze, solely to demonstrate the robustness of your fire insurance policy. The WNBA, despite its distinct operational structure, is far from immune to this unfolding catastrophe. Many tend to overlook that Adam Silver played a pivotal role in negotiating their most recent television and streaming deals, connecting them to the same powerful networks, the same corporate sponsors, and crucially, the same betting companies as the NBA. If the NBA's core business partners begin to feel the tremors of instability and nervousness, they will undoubtedly withdraw their substantial financial investments from both leagues. Sponsors, fundamentally, do not concern themselves with which entity is ultimately deemed guilty. Their singular aversion is to negative headlines and the corrosive impact they have on brand perception. Therefore, if the NBA suffers a significant blow, the WNBA will inevitably lose vital funding. This translates directly into fewer promotional opportunities, diminished media coverage, and most painfully, smaller pay raises for its players, all traceable to a few powerful figures who chose not to adhere to the established rules of integrity. And then there's the undeniable gravitational pull of Caitlin Clark, arguably the single player the league simply cannot afford to lose. Regardless of individual opinions about her, her presence undeniably draws eyeballs, generates clicks, and most importantly, brings in substantial cash. She is the singular reason why half the country has, almost overnight, developed an interest in women's basketball. If this sprawling scandal in any way contaminates her carefully cultivated public image, it would unleash another layer of profound nightmare for the league. Imagine the chilling prospect of Congress launching inquiries into whether certain players were deliberately targeted on the court, or if unfair treatment was allowed to fester, thus compromising the very integrity of the league. Her name, without a shadow of a doubt, would instantly surf. Media outlets have already extensively covered allegations of her civil rights being violated. Now layer that onto a burgeoning gambling scandal, and the story transforms into pure political gold, guaranteeing an unending media circus. So let's fast forward to October 31st, when Adam Silver must walk into that congressional briefing. What possible defense can he offer? The tired old refrain, "We didn't know," will simply not suffice. Congress has a deep-seated disdain for that particular excuse. They will relentlessly press him, demanding to know precisely why players and coaches with known ties to illegal betting activities were permitted to continue their employment. They will inquire if the league deliberately ignored explicit warning, and if Silver attempts to deflect blame, trying to throw someone else under the proverbial bus, those individuals will undoubtedly begin to speak, triggering an unstoppable chain reaction. One person leaks a critical text message, another quickly confirms its authenticity, and suddenly, the league's most closely guarded secrets are trending globally on social media. Some pundits are already dubbing this the most significant sports scandal since the Astros cheating debacle, or even eclipsing the Donaghy affair of 2007. But there's a crucial distinction this time. It's not merely about a single team or one errant referee. This time, the entire systemic integrity of the league is being interrogated. The NBA, in its relentless pursuit of profit, actively allowed gambling to become an integral part of the game's culture, not just for its avid fans but for its very own insiders. They unwittingly constructed a vast playground for corruption, and now the stern teachers have finally arrived. If you harbor any illusion that the panic and scrutiny will be confined solely to the NBA, then think again. The WNBA, completely separate in its daily operations, has been quietly grappling with its own series of mini-dramas, lingering coaching scandals, persistent locker room arguments, and persistent whispers about unfair treatment of players. All of these seemingly smaller issues, when aggregated, create a compelling pattern. Congress, with its newfound investigative momentum, might very well turn its attention to these concerns, next concluding that perhaps this league also requires substantial governmental oversight. This is precisely how such sweeping investigations gain traction. One inquiry invariably opens the door for another, and before anyone fully comprehends the gravity, both leagues find themselves ensnared in the same unforgiving hot seat. What adds another layer of dark irony to this entire ordeal is the public facade the NBA and WNBA often present, acting as one unified, harmonious family, yet behind the scenes, it is a ruthless arena of political maneuvering and strategic blame shifting. Each side is poised to cast culpability onto the other. Should this congressional briefing take a turn for the worse, you will witness the blame game unfold in full, ferocious motion. Oh, that was clearly a WNBA issue. No, that originated squarely from the NBA side. They will throw each other directly under the bus faster than you can even utter the word corruption. Meanwhile, the dedicated fans, the lifeblood of the sport, simply yearn to watch fair and uncompromised basketball. They care little for congressional hearings or who leaked what document. Their paramount concern is the integrity of the game. But when the league's fundamental integrity is questioned at such a profound and visible level, it utterly shatters that trust. If people begin to suspect that games are being rigged or that players are being subtly influenced to lose for the sake of betting odds, they will inevitably disengage. And once fans emotionally check out, no amount of flashy commercials or inspiring empowerment slogans will ever truly bring them back. The most terrifying prospect for the league in this hyper-connected era is the internet itself. Social media, in its relentless pursuit of truth and scandal, truly never forgets. A single damning clip, one leaked, authenticated document, or the courageous testimony of a whistleblower can ignite and disseminate the entire story worldwide in a matter of mere seconds. Even if Adam Silver somehow manages to navigate this upcoming congressional briefing without triggering an immediate disaster, one devastating headline, one viral revelation could irrevocably undo all his efforts. He simply cannot hide this, not when literally everyone globally is watching. Alright folks, that's the latest Raw update for now. The pressure is mounting rapidly, and we may very well be witnessing the very beginning of a monumental paradigm-shifting transformation in professional basketball as we know it. What are your thoughts on all of this? Do you believe Congress will truly pursue this investigation to its absolute conclusion? Or will it, like so many scandals before it, eventually fade into the background? Let me know your predictions and insights down in the comments section below. If you found this breakdown insightful and engaging, please make sure to hit that like button. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our next critical update on this unfolding story.